I was reborn, returning to my youth alongside my childhood friend who has autism. This time, Ning Ziyuan let go of my hand, awkwardly bought flowers, and gave them to Lin Jingshu, the sunshine of his heart, all because Lin Jingshu always liked to tease him with risque jokes. After being teased so much, he suddenly had an epiphany and felt as if his condition had vanished. In my past life, I spent over a decade caring for him, teaching him to express his likes and dislikes. Little did I expect that he would use the most careless and cruel words on me. You're annoying, not as likable as her. From above, I looked down and saw the girl and the boy embracing. She was taking the lead, while he shyly tried to pull away. I don't want to spend the rest of my life taking care of a patient either. Hey, do you really have autism? Lin Jingshu tilted her head and poked Ning Ziyuan's arm with a playful grin. But you were quite the talker in bed yesterday. How come your autism suddenly disappeared then? Ning Ziyuan's ears instantly flushed red, and his typically expressionless face showed a flicker of genuine surprise. I didn't. The classroom fell silent for a moment before erupting into animated chatter. Oh my god, did I just hear Ning Ziyuan speak? That's the second time he's opened his mouth today. Right, that's hilarious. Looks like underhanded methods really do work faster, unlike some people. The speaker shot a meaningful glance in my direction and deliberately trailed off. Maybe it's for the best. I lowered my eyes and flipped through the book expressionlessly, pretending not to realize they were talking about me. This was indeed the second time Ning Ziyuan had spoken up voluntarily today. The first time was when the teacher was about to rearrange seats and wanted me to sit next to Ning Ziyuan. He unexpectedly voiced his opinion. 1. His words flowed smoothly and naturally, leaving even the teacher stunned at the podium. After speaking with Ning's mother on the phone, the teacher nodded with relief. We'll keep things as they are. Then, Lin Jingshu, tone it down, stop picking on Ning Ziyuan. I rose to my feet amid the murmurs of the crowd, but before I could do anything, Ning Ziyuan spoke up first. His voice dripped with disgust. I told you, I'm done taking medication. If you feed me one, I'll throw one away. For a moment, I felt dazed as memories from my past life overlapped with the present. Ning Ziyuan's tone and gaze were exactly the same as before. The hushed whispers of classmates around me crept into my ears. Oh my god, doesn't Jiang Wanyu feel embarrassed? Ning Ziyuan must be so annoyed with her, who'd want to be chased around after school just to be force-fed medicine. Don't you think Ning Ziyuan actually talks quite a lot when he's around Lin Jingshu? He seems perfectly normal with her. The gloomy boy and the cheerful sunshine, I'm totally shipping this couple already. Meanwhile, the lively and adorable Lin Jingshu they were talking about was gently pinning Ning Ziyuan's fair cheek with a playful smile. Really? Am I really that special to you? Blushing again. How adorable. Ning Ziyuan's eyelashes fluttered slightly as he nervously averted his gaze. The moment our eyes met, his expression turned icy cold, all traces of his earlier emotion gone. A thought struck me. Could he have been reborn too? Is that why he refused to switch seats? Well, that's even better. After school, Ning Ziyuan walked out of the classroom ahead of me, backpack slung over his shoulder. Uncle Kai, the driver waiting outside the school gate, was taken aback. Aren't you going to wait for Miss Jiang? I do not. Ning Ziyuan pressed his lips together and remained silent, a reaction Uncle Kai had long grown accustomed to. Uncle Kai shot me a reproachful glance as I lagged behind, muttering under his breath, Miss Jiang, why aren't you keeping up? If anything happens to the young master, how will I explain it to Madam? See, he addresses me as Miss out of courtesy, but he's never truly respected me. Then again, it's no wonder, my family has fallen from grace. Uncle Kai, let's go. Ning Ziyuan, who had been quiet for a long time, suddenly spoke up. Uncle Kai was so startled that he forgot the scolding he was about to give me. Young master, you're speaking to me. Uncle Kai grinned foolishly, as if overwhelmed by the sudden surprise, and even forgot to stop the stranger from approaching. Wow, Ning Ziyuan, is this your family's car? How much does a car like this cost? Uncle Kai frowned and was about to pull Lin Jingshu aside when Ning Ziyuan proactively opened the car door. Ning Ziyuan nervously fiddled with the hem of his shirt and said, if you like it, it's yours. Lin Jingshu's eyes widened. Ha 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 ha, do you even realize what you're saying? You're actually giving this to me. Ning Ziyuan nodded earnestly, stepped out of the car with utmost seriousness, and gestured for Lin Jingshu to get in. Uncle Kai's eyebrows twitched sharply as he looked at Lin Jingshu in surprise. Those familiar with Ning Ziyuan's habits know he detests anyone encroaching on his personal space. Even I had to spend 6 months before being allowed to share a car with him, but Lin Jingshu is different, she's the exception to his rules. It was a first time like no other. Lin Jingshu patted his head as if petting an obedient puppy. Oh my, you're so naive, aren't you afraid of being tricked? Alright, I'll stop teasing you. See you tomorrow, my dear deskmate. She walked away humming a tune. Radiating pure joy from head to toe, Ning Ziyuan seemed to be infected by her joy as well, with a smile reaching the corners of his eyes. It wasn't until Lin Jingshu's figure disappeared from sight that he finally turned around and slammed the car door shut right in front of me. Uncle Kai completely forgot I was there, losing his usual calm and professional demeanor as he wished he could fly back instantly to tell Mrs. Ning what he had just witnessed. The car drove off into the distance, leaving me with nothing but a cloud of exhaust fumes. I glanced at my phone. The rideshare driver would be here in 5 minutes. Good thing I didn't count on them. That evening, the Ning household was filled with laughter and joy, while next door, my home was dead silent. What happened? Why didn't you come back with him? Can't you even handle a simple task like serving someone? What a waste raising you all these years. Mother carefully handed father a cup of tea and said, "Don't scold the child anymore, calm down." But father knocked the cup over in one swift motion, and it fell to the floor, shattering into sharp pieces. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The already sparsely furnished villa felt even emptier with one less person inside. Mom sighed and said gently, "Xiaoyu, did you have a falling out with Ziyuan, too? You know how simple-minded Ziyuan is. Try to be more understanding and accommodating. Our family still needs to rely on the Nings in the future." Back when Dad hadn't squandered our family's fortune, we were on equal footing with the Nings. At least we didn't have to curry favor just because Mrs. Ning said something. I paused while cleaning up the broken pieces. "Mom, I'm a senior in high school this year. Soon I'll be in college, making my own living and supporting myself. Why do we have to pin all our hopes on the Ning family and that gambling addict? Your father will change. The Nings lent him some money, he's about to turn things around." Mom's voice trailed off, sounding less and less convinced. "But Mom, do you realize, even if I do as you wish and try to win over Ning Ziyuan, Dad still wouldn't have kicked his gambling habit. It wasn't until he'd mortgaged this villa, the very symbol of his status, that he jumped from the rooftop and ended his life. In the end, we had no choice but to live at the mercy of the Ning family, completely dependent on them." My hand instinctively clenched until a shard of porcelain pierced my skin, the sharp pain jolting me back to reality from my memories. Mom gasped in alarm and carefully disinfected my wound. Just then, a WeChat message from Ning Ziyuan came through. "You're so disgusting, I can't stand you, leave me alone from now on." People with autism often struggle with social cues. They may unintentionally disregard others' feelings and communicate in a very direct manner. In my past life, I spent over a decade with Ning Ziyuan, painstakingly teaching him how to express dislike in a kind and considerate way, instead of resorting to yelling, physical aggression, throwing objects, or hurtful words. Ning Ziyuan was a slow learner, but he was finally making some progress. When his mother brought him a cup of calming milk, he didn't knock it over in a fit of anger like before. Instead, he calmly said, "I don't want it." His mother was so moved she cried, and I couldn't help but smile faintly beside them. Though hidden beneath his long sleeves were scars from hot water burns that would never fade, I lowered my gaze and sent a message. The next day, on the way to school, my father grabbed my clothes and pulled me to the Ning family's doorstep, his face plastered with an ingratiating smile. "Is Ziyuan still here? Hasn't he left yet?" The Ning family's butler glanced at him indifferently. "The young master left a while ago. Madam has instructed that Miss Jiang should go to school on her own from now on." The butler offered an apologetic smile. "You're well aware of our young master's condition. His emotions are easily unsettled." Dad's face froze for a long moment before he shot me a fierce glare. I ignored him, dodged his swinging slap, and walked to school as if nothing had happened. As soon as I entered the classroom, I saw Ning Ziyuan and Lin Jingshu leaning intimately together while eating breakfast. "Yuan, I have no appetite. I just want a taste of yours." "Hey, why aren't you eating the sausage?" "Oh, now I remember, you've got your own." Ning Ziyuan, who had been eating primly in small bites, suddenly blushed and stammered, Don't talk nonsense." A classmate close to Lin Jingshu burst out laughing. "My dear Shushu, you're way too bold. Even a mute would be forced to speak around you, let alone someone with autism." Lin Jingshu raised her eyebrows smugly and grabbed my arm as I passed by. Jiang Wanyu, come help explain for Ning Ziyuan, does he even have autism at all, or is he just introverted? He can't just be talkative only when he's around me. I pulled my hand back and opened my mouth to speak, but Ning Ziyuan cut me off. You're different, she's just like my mom, so nagging and annoying, not as cute as you. The classmates had varied expressions, each carrying a mix of playful teasing and mockery. Suddenly, I felt utterly exhausted, worn out by my past self. Before I was tasked with taking care of Ning Ziyuan, I was also an envied rich young lady, but after taking on the responsibility, I lowered myself to accommodate him and yielded to his every whim. Even a dog knows to be grateful after a few days of care. If it weren't for the car accident on the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau in my past life, I would have been tied to him forever, yet he still remains exactly the same. He's clearly learned how to interact with people normally, even smiling at strangers now, yet with me, his words are always dripping with sarcasm, completely disregarding my feelings. Could it be that Lin Jingshu's sunny disposition actually rubbed off on him, making him slightly more normal? That was the result of over a decade of effort from my past life, yet everyone just assumed the credit should go to Lin Jingshu. I looked Ning Ziyuan straight in the eye and said with a smile, but I don't have a son your age. In my previous life, Mrs. Ning had already mapped out my entire future for me. If Ning Ziyuan is going to music school, then I'll have to study the niche field of music therapy, using the music Ning Ziyuan loves to heal him. In his mother's eyes, this is simply the perfect arrangement, even if I'm not good at music, even if this major has poor job prospects. But it doesn't matter, as long as it's useful for Ning Ziyuan. As a reward, the Ning family would provide my father with financial support and business partnerships. Back in school, Ning Ziyuan would often get triggered by certain sounds or unintentional actions from others. This would then lead to emotional meltdowns and intense anxiety. He would flip over desks and compulsively dig his nails into his fingers until they bled. I had to set aside my notes and comfort him softly under the complex gazes of the crowd. Come to think of it, where was his little sunshine at that time? She was also among the onlookers, whispering with others. Ning Ziyuan was deceiving himself, but I haven't forgotten. 3. On his 18th birthday celebration, the Ning family hosted a grand banquet. It wasn't just to mark their son's coming of age, but also for everyone to witness Ning Ziyuan's miraculous recovery. At the banquet, the Ning family treated Lin Jingshu as a guest of honor. Lin Jingshu wore a custom-made evening gown with sparkling jewelry around her neck. Under the bright lights, she linked arms with Ning Ziyuan, greeting everyone with a radiant smile. They looked like the perfect couple. Having little appetite, I decided to step into the courtyard for some fresh air as the banquet was winding down. To my surprise, I ran into Lin Jingshu, who was chatting and laughing with Ning Ziyuan, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. She said with a hint of playful reproach, "What made you think of giving me these? Everyone else gives roses." Ning Ziyuan replied earnestly, "You're so warm, just like a sunflower. Seeing you makes me happy. What about Jiang Xiaoyu? Didn't you two grow up together since childhood? What's she like?" I stood in a hidden corner, watching Ning Ziyuan's expression clearly. He frowned, his expression cold and somewhat impatient. Like this, he casually pointed at the clover in the yard. "Without the luck of an extra leaf, it's just a weed." The evening breeze was warm, and cicadas were chirping restlessly. The cicadas' chirping echoed my frantic heartbeat, only to cease abruptly as if doused with cold water. I saw Lin Jingshu rise on her toes with a smile and press a kiss to Ning Ziyuan's cheek. Ning Ziyuan's ears turned red as he shyly averted his gaze, only to spot me in the corner. I found the whole scene utterly pointless and turned to leave. "Jiang Xiaoyu." Ning Ziyuan suddenly called out and jogged over to me. A faint blush still colored his cheeks. "Your mom reached out to me earlier. She still wants us to go to the same university." "Your mom's worrying over nothing. Lin Jingshu is clearly a better match for you than I am." Ning Ziyuan frowned. "But I told Mom, you're the only one I want." I looked up in surprise. Ning Ziyuan turned away. "I look awful when I'm sick. That's why it had to be you." He reserved his best self for Lin Jingshu, while letting his out-of-control, volatile side hurt me. I have to follow him around like a nanny, making sure he takes his medicine on time even if it annoys him. Be mindful of his feelings and always put him first in everything. This is something a delicate little son simply can't manage. Lin Jingshu called out to him from afar, her voice dripping with sweetness. "Hurry up, Ayuan, I'll take you to do what you love." But he remained motionless. I knew he wanted to hear my reassurance. It wasn't that he didn't appreciate my kindness, He just took it for granted. I composed myself and flashed him a radiant smile. Of course, I said, I'll be right here with you. Upon hearing the answer, he joyfully ran toward Lin Jingshu. The smile in my eyes vanished. Ning Ziyuan, once the college entrance exams are over, you can take your sunflowers and walk your own path. I will also leave you for good, content to be the most resilient clover. I just wonder if our little sunshine can still keep you warm when you're having an episode. I'll be watching. During study breaks, gossip about Ning Ziyuan and Lin Jingshu always seems to find its way to my ears. Everyone saying Lin Jingshu dragged Ning Ziyuan over the wall to skip class again, or perhaps, without telling anyone, she took him to a music festival in the neighboring province, Mom said that day. Ning's mother waited at the high-speed rail station exit with a grim expression and a group of people, and burst into tears again upon seeing Ning Ziyuan. Ning's mother saw a radiant and energetic Ning Ziyuan. Everyone says Lin Jingshu is Ning Ziyuan's salvation. Their story reads like a youthful campus novel come to life. Even my mother looked at me with regret and said, "Why is it that you and Ziyuan just weren't meant to be?" I just silently kept doing practice problems, completely out of sync with the lively crowd around me. To help the senior high school students relax, the principal specially organized a Christmas party. It was quite a surprise that Ning Ziyuan actually took the stage to perform, dressed in a simple white shirt and black trousers. He stood there quietly, yet commanded the attention of the entire room. Jiang Xiaoyu. I turned at the sound of my name. He was gently rubbing his fingers together as he asked, "I went next door looking for you earlier. Where were you?" Just because he was looking for me, does that mean I have to be available at his beck and call? I applied for on-campus housing ages ago. He frowned, clearly trying to recall when exactly I had moved out of that villa. Seeing he was about to say more, I'd already lost interest in listening. All right, Lin Jingshu skipped over to him, lifting her skirt slightly as she twirled in a circle. Do I look good today?" Ning Ziyuan must have nodded, because I heard Lin Jingshu immediately chime in, "Then say it, I like Shu Shu." I pursed my lips, not wanting to hear any more, but Ning Ziyuan's voice came through clearly as he asked, "What is love?" Lin Jingshu froze, taken aback by the unexpected response, but she quickly composed herself and explained with a smile, "Didn't you say seeing me would make you happy? That's what liking someone feels like." Ning Ziyuan nodded thoughtfully but didn't say anything more. When it was his turn to take the stage, the audience erupted in enthusiastic applause. In everyone's eyes, he was no longer the teenager with severe autism, but a quiet, composed young man with extraordinary musical talent. Joyful melodies flowed from his slender fingers, making it hard to imagine that someone who seemed so withdrawn could possess such a rich inner world. I joined in the applause with everyone else, but deep down, I knew the truth. This was the melody he composed for Lin Jingshu in his past life, and now he could finally play it openly for his sunshine. The song came to an end. Dressed in an evening gown, Lin Jingshu stepped onto the stage with a smile to present flowers, and everyone praised them as a match made in heaven. Some classmates whistled excitedly, and the cheers nearly lifted the roof off the auditorium. I quietly rose from my seat and stepped into the hallway, taking a deep breath. A message from Mom popped up on WeChat. "I'm ready to divorce your father, Xiaoyu. I will never be a burden to you." Ning Ziyuan still plans to apply to the C University Conservatory of Music. While he was practicing piano in the music room, Lin Jingshu would often tag along with a textbook, pretending to study. During the break, I happened to pass by the music room. A chaotic jumble of ding-dong sounds came from inside. Lin Jingshu sat on the piano bench, laughing as she played randomly, while Ning Ziyuan stood quietly beside her, occasionally reaching out to adjust her hand placement. It suddenly occurred to me that in my past life, I had also played the piano in front of Ning Ziyuan. Music therapy wasn't my preferred major, but I've always been driven to excel at everything I do. I practiced relentlessly in private, and only when my teacher praised my performance as flawless did I bring Ning Ziyuan to the piano room. But after just a few notes, he couldn't hide his impatience and snapped, "That sounds awful. Stop ruining my piano." My musical talent truly pales in comparison to that of a prodigy, but now I realize that whether the music sounds pleasant or not simply depends on who's playing it. Just as I was about to look away, I noticed Ning Ziyuan's fingers fidgeting restlessly. Having known him for so many years, I could tell at a glance that this was his telltale sign of anxiety. What's he so anxious about? I should take my medication. He spun around and rummaged through his backpack for the pillbox, only to have it deftly snatched away by Lin Jingshu the next second. Yuan, she cupped Ning Ziyuan's face and said earnestly, I'm different from others. I won't force you to do anything you don't want to do. Besides, you're not sick at all. You don't need to take any medicine. She took Ning Ziyuan's hand, and together they threw the medicine into the trash can. Come on, let's say goodbye to the past. Ning Ziyuan obediently followed Lin Jingshu's lead and high-fived her in celebration. His expression seemed to lighten, as if a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. I quickly walked away, not wanting to see any more. Ning Ziyuan and Lin Jingshu made a rare appearance in the classroom for the Sunday evening quiz. After a moment of stunned silence, everyone buried themselves in their exam papers. The test was quite challenging, and some students were nervously clicking their pen caps out of frustration. The incessant click sounds cut through the quiet classroom like a knife. Suddenly, without any warning, Ning Ziyuan flipped his desk over and crouched on the floor, screaming with his hands clutching his head. Chaos erupted around them, with the student in front clutching their lower back where the desk had hit them, grimacing in pain. What's wrong with him? Is he having a seizure? Oh my god. This is terrifying. Is he going to get violent? He looks like he's lost his mind. Lin Jingshu, who was sitting next to him, recoiled as if afraid of being caught in the crossfire, clutching her chest with a terrified expression. No, Lin Jingshu, hurry up and go. Doesn't Ning Ziyuan listen to you the most? She frowned, shot a subtle glare at the classmate who spoke, and uncomfortably covered her ears. The commotion Ning Ziyuan caused was so loud that even the hallway was crowded with curious onlookers. The homeroom teacher tried to approach him to talk, but he shoved her to the ground with force, rubbing her sore arm. The teacher suddenly brightened and looked at me. Jiang Wanyu, go calm him down, quick. I put down my pen and, just like countless times before, deftly took the earplugs from his bag and put them on him. Then I pried his hands apart to stop him from clawing at himself until they were covered in blood. It took quite a while before Ning Ziyuan's emotions gradually settled down. He pursed his lips, gave me a deep, meaningful look, and gently withdrew his hand. 5. Yuan, you really scared me just now. Lin Jingshu hurried forward and pushed me aside. Her heart ached as she examined the bloodstains on Ning Ziyuan's palm, her voice trembling with tears. How did this happen? Does it hurt? Ning Ziyuan, who had been looking at me, snapped out of it upon hearing Lin Jingshu's words and clumsily reassured her. It's nothing, I'm not in pain, don't cry. Under the gaze of everyone, I tactfully returned to my seat. My attempts to comfort him were nowhere near as effective as a few tears from Lin Jingshu. After that, Ning Ziyuan's behavior returned completely to normal. The emotional outburst during the test seemed like just a minor episode, quickly forgotten by everyone. However, it appears there's been some tension between Ning Ziyuan and Lin Jingshu. Lin Jingshu, wearing the diamond hairpin Ning's mother had bought for her, tugged at Ning Ziyuan's hand and cooed, don't ignore me. Okay, I was just startled that day. Is there anything Jiang Wanyu can do for you that I can't? Ning Ziyuan lowered his eyelids and remained silent, until he heard her say, I'm so adorable even mosquitoes want a bite. Care to give it a try? He jerked his hand back as if shocked by electricity, yet a faint smile crept across his face. During the art exam, the Ning family made a grand spectacle while seeing Ning Ziyuan off to his test. Outside the exam hall, a photo of Lin Jingshu hugging Ning Ziyuan for encouragement, captured by reporters, sparked envy among many netizens. Such an eye-catching pair of beauties, just like the lead in a teen romance drama. In the photo, Lin Jingshu beamed with a radiant smile, while Ning Ziyuan gazed down at her with tenderness in his eyes. I locked my phone screen and went back to cramming for exams. On the day the art exam results came out, Ning's mother specially invited our family over. She openly praised Lin Jingshu sitting beside her. Shu is truly the Ning family's lucky star. Since she came into our lives, Yuan has not only recovered from his illness but also topped the national exams. By the way, which university does Wanyu plan to apply to this year? Father shot me a look of exasperation, then chimed in with a smile. As we agreed earlier, she'll go wherever Ziyuan goes. Ning Ziyuan curled his fingers and suddenly fixed his gaze on me, asking, what major are you planning to choose? I paused for a moment and answered truthfully, psychology. It's the field I'm most passionate about, and I have no intention of changing my mind for anyone. Upon hearing my answer, Ning Ziyuan first raised his eyebrows in surprise. Then a smile crept across his lips. You seem to be in better spirits. After dinner, Dad pulled Mr. saw aside to discuss a business collaboration. Mom quietly told me that she had already prepared the divorce papers. As I walked through the Ning family's courtyard, I faintly heard a charming voice. "Congratulations, Yuan, would you like a reward?" Just like that day, Ning Ziyuan must have nodded, because Lin Jingshu abruptly changed the subject and started complaining about me. "Jiang Xiaoyu is so shameless, why does she always have to squeeze between us? And now she says she wants to get into the same university as you, she can't live without me," Ning Ziyuan stated matter-of-factly. "Her family has no money, taking care of me is her only path to a better life." The blunt words laid bare the harsh reality of my previous life struggles. Mother paused, a strand of hair falling across her cheek, obscuring the expression on her face, clutching her hand firmly. I resolutely walked away from the Ning family home. "Who says I have to go to University A? The place I really want to go is University B, thousands of miles away." The countdown to the college entrance exam on the blackboard ticks away day by day, and the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. But this anxious mood at school doesn't faze Lin Jingshu and Ning Ziyuan in the slightest, using the excuse that a stressful environment would affect Ning Ziyuan's mood. Lin Jingshu had his mother intervene with the school to secure special permission for them to skip classes. We were buried in practice tests in the classroom, with stacks of exam papers piling up like mountains. Meanwhile, she took Ning Ziyuan bungee jumping, hiking, and diving, recklessly squandering the time that should have been spent preparing for exams. "Quick, look, Lin Jingshu just posted on her social media again. Is she really not worried about failing the college entrance exam?" Among Lin Jingshu's newly posted 9-grid photos, there's one of her and Ning Ziyuan holding hands with fingers interlocked, smiling and flashing peace signs at the camera. The caption reads, "The moment I jumped from that high platform, I realized no exam compares to matters of life and death, much less to the person standing by your side. Why do you even bother worrying about her?" The class monitor stretched lazily, his tone dripping with disdain and a hint of envy. "With the Ning family backing her, she can live comfortably without even trying." The harsh reality was right in front of them, and everyone couldn't help but sigh after hearing it. It wasn't until the day of the college entrance exam that I saw Ning Ziyuan again. To everyone's surprise, he looked absolutely terrible. His face was pale, and he had lost a significant amount of weight. His fingers were twitching involuntarily. Yet no one present noticed his unusual behavior. Lin Jingshu said to Ning's mother with a beaming smile, "Auntie, you can rest assured, since Yuan and I are in the same exam hall, I'll make sure to take good care of him." "Yuan, don't you think so?" Ning Ziyuan, whose name had been called, clutched his pencil case tightly and mumbled a vague response. Coincidentally, all three of us were assigned to the same examination hall. Lin Jingshu sat behind Ning Ziyuan, while I was seated in a far corner away from them. The exam bell rang. This was a pivotal moment that would shape their futures. Everyone in the exam hall focused intently, picking up their pens to answer the questions with utmost concentration. Lin Jingshu was the only exception. She kept flipping through the test papers, the rustling sound of pages echoing in the quiet room. She must have run into a tricky problem, letting out another sigh before starting to twirl her pen. The proctor tapped her desk lightly as a warning. She stuck out her tongue, straightened up, but accidentally knocked her pen to the floor. The pen hit the ground with a soft clatter. No one expected Ning Ziyuan to suddenly snap at the sound. His jaw was clenched tight, his face as pale as a sheet, with cold sweat beading on his forehead. He first crumpled his own test paper into a ball, then uncontrollably overturned Lin Jingshu's desk. "You're too loud," as if venting his anger. He stomped on Lin Jingshu's paper, his hands trembling uncontrollably. "Are you out of your mind?" Lin Jingshu's eyes widened. "If you're having an episode, fine, but why drag me down with you at a time like this?" The proctor, sensing trouble, immediately had both of them escorted out. Even after they were gone, I could still faintly hear Lin Jingshu's shrill cursing. The proctor tidied up the mess on the floor and cleared his throat, saying, "Everyone, please focus on your exams and don't let irrelevant matters distract you." The sense of absurdity within me grew stronger. I never expected Ning Ziyuan's mental state to be so fragile that he couldn't even make it through a single exam. Staring at the exam paper in front of me, I pushed aside my scattered thoughts. Their exams were over, but mine was still ongoing. For the next few days, neither Ning Ziyuan nor Lin Jingshu showed up at the exam hall. Without their distractions, my thought process became much smoother while answering questions. "So that's how it is." The moment I capped my pen and walked out of the exam room, I saw my mom waving at me with a smile. She held a bright red divorce certificate in her hand. We all successfully changed our own destinies. On moving day, Dad still didn't show up, maybe still busy with his big business ventures. Unlike the quiet emptiness at our place, the Ning family next door was bustling with activity. With a trembling voice, Lin Jingshu pleaded with Ning's mother, "Auntie, please send a Yuan and me abroad to study together. Our college entrance exam results are void now. There's no future for us staying in the country. We might as well try our luck overseas. With me by his side to take care of him, you won't have to worry." Ning's mother let out a cold laugh, her tone icy. "Won't have to worry, right before the college entrance exams. You said you'd take a Yuan to relax." But he came back in even worse shape. "If it weren't for you, he could have easily gotten into University A." Back then, Mother Ning saw Lin Jingshu as the Ning family's lucky star, showering the Yi household with a constant stream of clothes and jewelry. But now, she's coldly tallying up all the money spent on Lin Jingshu, and the total shockingly amounts to hundreds of thousands. "You even told a Yuan to stop taking his medication. This is practically murder. Do you realize that? Give me back that money right now, and don't you dare show your face around here ever again." The Ning household fell silent for a moment, until Lin Jingshu's voice cut through the quiet with desperate determination. "You can't make me leave. I'm pregnant." Mom shot me a look of utter shock, and I couldn't help but frown in response. It suddenly came back to me, those suggestive remarks Lin Jingshu made at Ning Ziyuan's coming-of-age ceremony. So this is what she called a reward. The Ning household fell into a deathly silence. Then came Mrs. Ning's explosive outburst of fury, followed by Lin Jingshu's helpless sobbing. The commotion next door was so loud we couldn't help but hear it. As I stepped out with my suitcase, I unexpectedly spotted Ning Ziyuan. He had a frail build and was staring vacantly into the distance. "Jiang, Xiaoyu." His gaze fell on my suitcase, and after a long moment, he finally spoke softly. "Are you leaving? Where are you going?" He asked almost pleadingly. "Could you play that piece for me one more time?" That very piece, which was interrupted after just a few notes back then. Now he has the patience to hear it through. I shook my head and spoke my true feelings. "Ning Ziyuan, I never really enjoyed playing the piano. Besides, there's no need for me to play anymore." 6. Perhaps hearing our conversation, Lin Jingshu hurried out and stepped between us, blocking Ning Ziyuan's line of sight. "A Yuan. Which piece would you like to hear? I'll play it for you." Her tone was no longer the affected coquetry of old, but carried a hint of cautious ingratiation. Ning Ziyuan suddenly lost control of his emotions. He shoved Lin Jingshu to the ground, fists clenched tight, veins bulging on his forehead. "You can't play at all. I was talking to Jiang Xiaoyu, who asked for your opinion, if not for someone stepping in just in time." Ning Ziyuan's fist would have likely connected with Lin Jingshu's face, whether in this life or the last. It's been years since I've seen him lose his composure so publicly. Lin Jingshu sat on the ground in disarray, shielding her stomach with a face full of terror. As if struck by a sudden thought, she turned and shouted at me, "Jiang Xiaoyu, aren't you supposed to be tough? Make him stop this madness." I looked at the chaotic scene before me and calmly said, "You were the one who cured Ning Ziyuan in the first place. This has nothing to do with me." Then, with a hint of a smile, I added, "By the way, congratulations to you both. You're going to have a baby soon." Paying no more attention to the commotion behind me, I turned and left the place with my mother. The new home is wonderful. Bright, clean rooms, no longer cluttered with Dad's liquor bottles, and free from that pungent smell of smoke. Mom's wardrobe now holds many sharp, professional women's suits. At first, she sold her jewelry and invested her own savings. Later, because she invested in emerging industries with strong futures, her returns grew steadily. Compared to her previous life where she was always sighing and moping, she's now full of energy and her smile keeps growing brighter. The moment she got the call from the admissions office at University B, she pulled me into a tight hug and exclaimed, "Xiaoyu, you're absolutely amazing." My homeroom teacher also called to congratulate me, saying with a laugh, "Jiang Xiaoyu, you're this year's top scorer in the city. You've really made our school proud. I expect the media will be reaching out to interview you soon, so make sure you're prepared." All my hard work finally paid off, and I happily replied to the messages on my phone. Everyone I knew came to congratulate me, including a message from Ning Ziyuan. "How about we go study abroad together?" I frowned and blocked him without a second thought. Once someone gets stubborn, there's no stopping them. When I went downstairs to take out the trash, I was surprised to see him waiting there the whole time. Ning Ziyuan stood there like a statue, looking so pitiful, just like a puppy abandoned by the roadside. I kept a straight face, pretended not to see him, and walked right past him. He suddenly stepped forward and gripped my wrist so tightly that my skin immediately flushed red. "Why aren't you answering my messages?" He looked at me with eyes full of confusion and hurt. "You're hurting me, let go." He let go as I asked, but continued mapping out my future. "Don't study psychology just for my sake, come abroad with me, you can do whatever you want. I'll have my father give your family a sum of money. You could even move back into your old villa, you're not doing well now. With me, you'll live in a big house with household staff to take care of everything." I found it rather absurd and cut him off. "What makes you think I studied psychology just for you? Do you really think you're the only person in the world who needs therapy?" His expression went completely blank for a few seconds. A group of journalists rushed over upon hearing the news, surrounding me and creating a barrier that seemed to separate Ning Ziyuan and me into two different worlds. "You, as this year's top-scoring student in the city, all the top universities must be fighting over you, right?" a reporter teased. "So which university is your dream school?" "Exactly." My gaze cut through the crowd and met Ning Ziyuan's. "University B, not University A, it was University B, the one I never got to attend in my past life." Ning Ziyuan's head snapped up, his eyes wide with disbelief. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead as he swayed unsteadily, looking as if he might collapse at any moment. "Get out, all of you, get out." He crouched down, clenched his fists, and began pounding them violently against his own head. "Is this some kind of illness? Depression? Doesn't really look like it." The reporters put away their cameras and backed away awkwardly, just as Ning's mother arrived unhurriedly with her entourage. She gritted her teeth and shoved Lin Jingshu beside her. "This is all your fault, you shameless woman, you've corrupted A Yuan. Go on, what are you hiding for? You think getting pregnant is all it takes to become my daughter-in-law?" Lin Jingshu's face flushed crimson as she timidly tugged on Ning Ziyuan's sleeve, only to have him shake it off forcefully. The surrounding gossip made Mrs. Ning's face alternate between red and pale. She simply directed the people she brought along to forcibly drag Ning Ziyuan away, ignoring his struggles. The crowd quickly dispersed, but someone still posted photos of the scene online. "Isn't that the handsome art student from back then? What happened to him? This young girl is pregnant already. Her attempt to marry into a wealthy family is way too obvious." An insider revealed the truth, and netizens were stunned to learn that both of their college entrance exam scores were invalidated. "So the guy has autism, why isn't he getting treatment? If making dirty jokes could cure illnesses, then my years of education would have been a complete waste. This isn't just abstract, it's clearly sexual harassment." After the admission letter arrived, I invited my friends out for a meal. We walked down the street laughing and chatting about the new movie that just came out. "Wanyu, is that Ning Ziyuan across the street? Why is he still haunting us like a ghost?" I followed my friend's pointing finger and spotted Ning Ziyuan standing under the streetlight. The smile on my lips faded, and I instinctively took a few steps back. He stared at the smile on my face and suddenly spoke up. "7. Why didn't you apply to C University? You should have applied to C University, studied music therapy, we could have played piano together, then gotten married, just like in our past life." I picked up where he left off. Ning Ziyuan froze for a long moment before finally grasping the situation. He shot back, "What's wrong with that? And I finally understand what love really means." His eyes were filled with determination and sincerity. "Love is when your life falls apart without them. It's wanting their happiness more than your own. So Jiang Xiaoyu, I'm in love with you." I let out a derisive laugh. "Ning Ziyuan, even if I were to live a second life, what makes you think I'd still revolve my world around you? Besides, haven't you noticed, my life has been so much better without you. My life now is 1,000 times better than before, better than in my previous life. You always said I was dull and lifeless, now I'll tell you why." I looked into Ning Ziyuan's eyes and said, word by word, "Because I'm exhausted, too tired to even force a smile. Taking care of you is truly draining. I don't want to be your babysitter anymore. If you really want me to be happy, then stay out of my sight from now on." After saying all that, I didn't even glance at Ning Ziyuan's reaction. I just hurried over to my friend and left with her. So what if he has another emotional breakdown? It's none of my business anymore. This time, I'm going to live a much more fulfilling life than I did in my past one. After I went to school up north, Mom expanded her career to City B as well. Besides attending classes, I also volunteer with my classmates at a special education center. There are not only children with autism here, but also many with disabilities and psychological challenges. They are all groups that need care and compassion. Ning Ziyuan isn't the only unfortunate soul in this world, he's hardly the most pitiable one. When chatting with classmates, I sometimes catch wind of gossip about the Ning family. Have you heard the latest scoop about the wealthy families? It's absolutely scandalous. Rumor has it that Mr. Xiao of Haiqing sidelined his own ailing son and put his carefully groomed illegitimate child in power. Being the son of a wealthy family isn't easy either. What illness does this biological son have? The girl who spilled the tea pursed her lips. Autism. But he got a girl pregnant at such a young age, and the child wasn't born very healthy either. No matter how much money you have, this condition is hard to cure. Shoo, look at the person up ahead. I think that's someone from the Ning family. This is the top-ranked special education institution in the country. So it makes sense they'd be here. I looked up and saw Mrs. Ning and Lin Jingshu, both wearing eye masks and bundled up tightly. Mrs. Ning had lost her usual composure and elegance. Her carefully styled hair was now streaked with gray, making her look much older. Lin Jingshu looked utterly disheveled. She was impatiently soothing the child in her arms, with frown lines etched on her forehead from constant worry. Though only 20 and in the prime of youth, she lacked any youthful vitality. Instead, radiating an air of weariness, the butterfly's wings didn't just flutter, they altered more than just my destiny, yet they were the only ones left stranded. I took a sip of water and stepped outside. The sunlight was perfect outside, and my future looked bright. Story 2. I have feelings for my little uncle. For his sake, I refused the arranged marriage with my childhood sweetheart, but all he said was, "Like you. Do you think I'm a beast? I'm your little uncle," I asked him. "But we don't have any blood relationship," he sneered coldly and retorted, "Do I really have to say it straight out that I don't like you at all?" Later, I died in a car accident on the day he got engaged to someone else. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my childhood sweetheart proposed the arranged marriage. In full view of everyone, I nodded and agreed. The man who was always nonchalant suddenly went crazy. 1. Marriage is a big deal, coincidentally. Mian Mian's little uncle has returned from abroad and will be here soon. Let's also hear his opinion. Upon hearing this, I immediately looked up at my grandmother. Ji Yanli has returned to the country ahead of schedule. In my previous life, I remembered it very clearly. My grandmother just called to ask for Ji Yanli's opinion, and that man refused in the cold tone I was most familiar with. I can't get away from the branch company in Luxembourg. I can't come back. It has nothing to do with me whom she marries, but this time, why is it different from the previous life? The next second, the sound of the private room door opening pulled my thoughts back. I looked up and met the gaze of the travel-worn man at the door from a distance. 2. Yanli, what do you think about Mian Mian's marriage with the Song family? Probably not wanting to hear Ji Yanli's harsh sarcasm again, I directly took over my grandmother's words. Grandma, I'm already an adult. I can make my own decisions about such things. The man opposite snorted and smiled, tapping the tabletop casually with his fingertips, then let her tell us her thoughts. Under the eyes of everyone, I took a deep breath. My tone was solemn. I'm willing to marry brother Song Yu. Song Yu is my childhood sweetheart whom I've grown up with. As soon as I finished speaking, the sound of tapping on the table stopped immediately. Ji Yanli stared at me without blinking. Grandma's voice sounded at the right moment. Since you also like your brother Song Yu, then Grandma doesn't have much else to say. I ignored Ji Yanli's gaze and nodded at Grandma and the others. Brother Song Yu just sent me a message saying he's waiting for me at the door, so I'll be leaving now. Stop. Ji Yanli, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. Ignoring the strange looks from others, he walked straight up to me. He looked down at me. Do you like him that you want to marry him? My voice was very calm. It doesn't matter whether I like him or not now, little uncle, even if I don't have feelings for him now, we have a lifetime to cultivate them. After all, we'll be husband and wife soon. Ji Yanli looked at me with a dangerous tone. What did you call me? In the past, when I liked Ji Yanli, I always called him by his full name. This was the first time I called him little uncle. He was so angry that he laughed. And without asking for anyone's opinion, he directly pulled me away in front of others. Let go of me. I was pulled all the way to the parking lot by Ji Yanli. Ji Yanli sneered, his hand gripping tightly. Let you go to find your little fiancé. I just felt it was unintelligible. Even if so, it has nothing to do with you, little uncle. I deliberately emphasized the last few words. Upon hearing this, Ji Yanli really stopped, his jaw was tense, he lit a cigarette, seemingly to calm down. Either you get in the car with me and talk now, or I'll go talk to your brother Son Yu directly. I don't know if it's an illusion, but I always feel that Ji Yanli has a much worse temper this time. In the end, I still got into Ji Yanli's car. 3. You can't marry Son Yu. Ji Yanli looked at the steering wheel, his tone broking no argument. I smiled and was about to retort, then the car window on the driver's side was knocked. This was a public parking lot, and there was a large shopping mall above. Brother Yanli, are you also here to go shopping in the mall? The delicate woman in front of us was Ji Yanli's fiancée in his previous life, Ningxi, but at this time in this life, she hadn't met me yet. The woman's gaze passed over Ji Yanli and she looked at me hesitantly. Who is this? I looked at her calmly and smiled. This is my little uncle, sister. Do you want to have a private chat with my little uncle? Then I'll leave now. As I said this, I started to unbuckle my seat belt. Ningxi's cheeks turned slightly red. Thank you. Ji Yanli's abnormal behavior just now made me feel dazed for a moment, but the appearance of Ningxi immediately brought me back to reality. This was the destined female lead in Ji Yanli's life. Who said you could leave? Ji Yanli stopped my movement with a half smile. I instinctively looked up, but my vision spun around. I was held and sat on Ji Yanli's lap. He raised his hand and stroked my side face, his warm palm stroking all the way down to my chin. There was a lazy smile on his face. What's this? Playing the roles of uncle and niece. The man lowered his head and leaned closer to me, his breath spraying on my chin. His deep voice was particularly ambiguous at this moment. Little niece, how come I didn't know you had this kind of hobby? I was completely stunned, my mind going blank, unable to respond. I let Ji Yanli talk nonsense. He finally looked up at Ningxi, who was frozen outside the window. Miss Ning, do you have something to talk to me about? Does it have to be now? I'm not really convenient. After saying this, he held me and adjusted the seat backward, the hint being very obvious. Ningxi took 2 steps back with a pale face. Brother Yanli, how can you hold another woman? Don't you know that I like you? Ji Yanli turned his head and sneered. He seemed to think what she said was absurd. Listen, Ningxi, your liking me has nothing to do with me at all. Stop hovering around me like a fly, please. He deliberately emphasized the word please, and his repulsion towards Ningxi was clearly shown. I slowly came back to my senses. This was very wrong. Even if Ji Yanli disliked a woman, he had never made her so embarrassed in public. What's more, it was his fiancée whom he was engaged to in his previous life. While I was still thinking about it, Ningxi had already run away with tears in her eyes. Little uncle, can you let me go now? I just regarded him as using me as a shield. Ji Yanli's phone rang at this moment. Instead of letting me go, he held me even tighter. He used his other hand to answer the phone. Grandma's voice came from the other side. Yanli, what's the situation between you and Mian Mian? Where did you take her? Ji Yanli didn't answer in a hurry. Instead, he glanced at me and raised one eyebrow slightly. What did you just say? You want to get off my lap? I immediately held my breath and shook my head at him repeatedly, signaling him not to say anything. Grandma on the other end of the phone didn't hear clearly. What did you say? Ji Yanli didn't speak, just looked at me leisurely. I closed my eyes, and had to grit my teeth and lean against his neck. Ji Yanli immediately hugged me back. It's nothing, Mom. Ji Yanli and I have some personal matters to sort out. Grandma didn't ask any more questions. She just gave a few words of advice and then hung up the phone. The air in the car suddenly became silent. Ji Yanli stopped my movement of moving away. He leaned close to my ear. This is the reason why you can't marry Son Yu. I slightly raised my head and looked into his eyes. But you said it yourself that you don't like me at all. Ji Yanli turned his head and clicked his tongue. I didn't say such nonsense. He clearly said it. I won't believe him. I climbed back to the passenger seat huffing and puffing and was about to get out of the car, but the next second, he directly started the car. 4. I leaned against the edge of the car window, counting the cars that whizzed by in boredom. I was also deep in thought, recalling Ji Yanli's abnormal behavior. Suddenly, the car was slammed to a stop. I leaned forward due to inertia. There was a black Kian blocking the way in front of us. Son Yu got out of the car. His face was cold and serious. Mian Mian, get out, I'll take you back. I instinctively glanced at Ji Yanli. He casually tapped the steering wheel with his fingertips, looking at the boy in front of him with great interest. Did you call him here? No, for no reason. I felt a sense of low pressure. He lit a cigarette, and with a vague smile on his face, he said, "Your little fiancé has chased after you. I can't just pretend not to see it." After saying this, he stepped out of the car and locked the car door behind him. In the cold evening wind, the two men stood facing each other. "Please let Mian Mian out of the car. I won't let her go." "What are you going to do about it?" Song Yu stopped arguing and directly walked towards the passenger seat, but the moment he got close, Ji Yanli grabbed his arm. Song Yu was slightly shorter than Ji Yanli. He quickly fell into a disadvantage. He was pushed around by Ji Yanli and slammed onto the front cover of his Cayenne. Ji Yanli's hand was around his neck. "What do you want to do to Mian Mian?" Song Yu managed to say. Ji Yanli unhurriedly flicked the ash off his cigarette with his other hand and crushed the cigarette butt on the car. "Maybe I didn't make myself clear before. Stay away from her. This is my last warning to you. She's mine. She belongs to herself." Song Yu spat out the words one by one. Ji Yanli laughed softly and increased the strength in his hand. "I finally found the spare key in the car, opened the door, and ran over in a hurry." "Little uncle, let him go," I said as I tried to pull his hand away, but the man didn't move at all. Song Yu was already on the verge of death. In a rush, I had to bite Ji Yanli's wrist. He finally let go. I quickly helped Song Yu up. "Do you really feel sorry for him that much?" Behind me came Ji Yanli's emotionless voice. "I'm also injured. Can't you see it?" I stopped moving. As soon as I turned around, he picked me up forcefully and threw me onto the back seat of the car. He also got into the car. Just as he was about to start the car, I struggled desperately. "What are you doing, Ji Yanli? Didn't you see that Song Yu is already?" The man stepped on the gas, and the car roared softly. He held the steering wheel with one hand and smiled lazily. "Do you believe that if you mention him one more time, I'll drive over and kill him?" Through the rearview mirror, I met Ji Yanli's gaze. My hand clenched the cushion tightly in the dark. "Ji Yanli, killing people is against the law. Are you ignorant of the law?" Ji Yanli leaned leisurely against the backrest, his eyes playful. "You're right, so I'm going to run over his legs. What do you think? The Song family doesn't have only one son. Moreover, it's Song Yu's father who is begging me for the project now. Do you think the Song family wants a project that can firmly establish their position in the business world, or do they want their son's two legs?" He laid out the pros and cons in front of me, forcing me to make a choice. I couldn't just ignore Song Yu. In my previous life, when everyone accused me of not being supposed to like Ji Yanli and being shameless, it was Song Yu who protected me time and time again. "Little uncle, I'm sorry. In this battle without any cards, I had to admit defeat and show weakness." Ji Yanli didn't move, and the front of the car was still facing Song Yu. "Okay, so what should you do in the future?" I lowered my eyes and my voice was very soft. "I won't contact him again." Ji Yanli's voice softened a bit. "Sit back in the front." I did as he said. The man leaned over to fasten my seatbelt for me, and his fingertips rubbed my earlobe. "So good." Ji Yanli finally turned the car around and left. I held the seatbelt tightly and looked straight ahead. It was as if I didn't hear Song Yu shouting my name behind me at all. 5. I was taken back to Ji Yanli's villa in the suburbs by him. I stood numbly in the entrance hall, watching him walk to the wine cabinet and drink up the whiskey in the glass in one gulp. He looked up at me while holding an ice cube in his mouth. "Why are you unhappy?" The sound of him biting the ice cube, accompanied by his casual steps, made me shiver involuntarily. Ji Yanli stopped in front of me and stared into my eyes. "Is it because of Song Yu? What exactly do you want?" There was still a trace of a crying tone in my voice. "Tong Mian, don't play dumb with me." I sniffled. "Ji Yanli, if you like me, why do you still force me to do so many things?" Ji Yanli didn't think there was anything wrong with that. He gently rubbed my head. "Because you're not obedient enough." All the words I wanted to refute got stuck in my throat. When Grandma called Ji Yanli again, I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, the only person who could save me had come. "Yanli, when will you come over? We need to discuss Mian Mian's marriage." Ji Yanli looked at me with drooping eyelids, his tone indifferent. "I almost forgot." "What? Tong Mian's wedding is cancelled." My eyes widened instantly. Grandma was also puzzled on the other end. "Why?" I had a bad feeling. Ji Yanli looked at me, but he was speaking into the phone. He drawled, but his tone was beyond dispute. "Because she's going to marry me. You'd better not interfere in our business." After saying this, he hung up the phone. "Ji Yanli, are you crazy?" I felt like I was on the verge of a breakdown. "What nonsense did you talk to Grandma? Are you trying to force me to death?" Ji Yanli threw his phone on the coffee table, picked me up, and then pressed me onto the sofa the next second. We were so close that I could hear his breathing. Didn't you say that you like me and only want to marry me? I couldn't break free, so I simply turned my head slightly to the side. That was in the past. Ji Yanli held my chin, forcing me to look at him. Then like me again, Tong me on. As long as you stay by my side obediently, I can wait. His gaze moved down to the side of my neck. He leaned closer. The next second, I felt a kiss on the side of my neck. My body tensed up involuntarily. Ji Yanli seemed to be getting even closer. Don't. I tried to find my voice. The man stopped his movement. After a while, he propped himself up with his arm and moved away a bit, hovering above me. Little uncle, can you let me go? Ji Yanli was still smiling, but his eyes were filled with coldness. He placed his fingertips on my lips and gently rubbed them. The meaning was obvious. The remaining words were stiffly swallowed back by me. When Ji Yanli still maintained that posture. The door at the side and rear was suddenly pushed open, a ray of light poured in, and I squinted my eyes due to the glare. What are you doing? Ningxi stood at the door with her eyes wide open in anger. Ji Yanli's expression instantly darkened, and he stood up. Were you following me? Would I have seen this scene if I hadn't followed you? The veins on her forehead were clearly bulging. She seduced you, didn't she? Brother Yanli, tell me. It's like that, isn't it? There was a hint of madness in Ningxi's eyes. Ji Yanli didn't say anything. He picked up his phone and called the security guard. Taking advantage of this gap, Ningxi suddenly strode over. Before I could react, she took out the eyebrow trimmer that she had hidden in her hand and slashed towards my face. There was no time to dodge, so I instinctively closed my eyes tightly, but I didn't feel the pain I had expected. Brother Yanli. I opened my eyes. Ji Yanli's arm was in front of me. Bright red blood dripped drop by drop along the wound onto my pants, spreading out. Ji Yanli didn't pause. He directly bent Ningxi's arm inward. The eyebrow trimmer in his hand was pointed directly at her own neck. Why are you so cheap? Huh, a few hours ago, I just rejected you, and now you're sticking to me again. Is it my fault that I like you? Ningxi was forced to take step by step backward, and even a bloody mark had been pressed out on her neck by the blade. You'll soon know if it's wrong or not. Ji Yanli let out a soft laugh and threw Ningxi away. I heard the approaching sound of footsteps. The security guards arrived and took Ningxi away while apologizing. She was in a sorry state, but she was still crying and looking at Ji Yanli. Were you scared? Ji Yanli put away his usual carefree attitude and was rarely serious. Did she touch you? I stared blankly at the man who was crouching in front of me, looking rather nervous. I spoke slowly. You're the one who's injured. It seemed that he only noticed his wound at this moment. Half an hour later, the doctor left after bandaging the wound. I opened my mouth, with mixed emotions. Thank you, little uncle. Ji Yanli was not affected by the wound at all. He took out a cigarette and bit it. There was a slight mocking smile in his voice. You already hate me enough. If you got injured because of me, you'd probably hate me to death. Wouldn't you? How could I give you that chance? I ignored his awkward words that were the opposite of what he really meant. I just stared at the bandaged part of his wound and remembered a lot of things. I initially fell in love with Ji Yanli just because he was kind to me. When I was blocked by hooligans in high school and they tried to give me love letters, Ji Yanli specifically staked them out for a week. After finding them, he gave them a good lesson. When my university supervisor replaced my scholarship quota with someone else's, Ji Yanli didn't say something like, it's not much money anyway, I'll give you 10 times that amount. Instead, he seriously helped me get back my justice and the scholarship. The atmosphere was unexpectedly relaxed. I was just about to take the opportunity to persuade him to let me go. I accidentally glanced at the phone on the coffee table that kept flashing, indicating that a message had come in. When I picked it up and opened it, I suddenly froze. Song Yu, Mian Mian. I just got home and fixed my phone. Are you okay, Song Yu? Ji Yanli just announced the news that you two are getting married. Are you being forced? Ji Yanli had already announced it. I thought it was just something he casually said to dismiss grandma. I mechanically looked at the man who was playing with his phone. Ji Yanli, what are you doing? He didn't even look up and replied casually, contacting the wedding planner. When did I agree to marry you? The white light from the screen shone on the man's face. He stopped his movement. It was not until the phone automatically turned off the screen that Ji Yanli threw away the phone and walked towards me. Ever since you agreed to the arranged marriage with Song Yu today, I've been very impatient. Don't provoke me anymore. Tong me on. There are only the two of us in this house. You don't want me to move things forward so quickly, do you? Under his gentle tone was the most deadly warning to me. I think, probably from that moment on, the last bit of my concern for him was completely exhausted. 7. On the 15th day since I moved in, Ji Yanli came back during working hours. I'm free today, I'll take you to try on wedding dresses. I just ignored the man's words. I hugged my knees and curled up on the sofa, staring blankly at the TV in front of me. During these 15 days, Ji Yanli didn't even lock the door when he went to the company, and he didn't ask the bodyguards to keep watch. He was certain that I didn't dare to run away. In the silent confrontation, Ji Yanli's eyes became darker and darker. Finally, he directly picked me up and put me in the passenger seat. Ji Yanli, is this interesting? He stopped the action of buckling my seatbelt and looked up. I don't like you, and I won't give you any response. Is it interesting for you to perform a monologue all by yourself? Ji Yanli lowered his eyes and smiled softly. It's not interesting, so if you continue to look so listless, click. The seatbelt was fastened, and he raised his hand and gently patted my side face. I'll bring your brother Song Yu over to amuse me, how about that? This was the so-called like in Ji Yanli's words, an obsessive and pathological possessiveness. He would always only threaten me to make me yield. The car was driving steadily, and I turned my head towards the window. The quiet atmosphere was suddenly broken by a harsh screech of brakes. I was startled for a moment. I turned my head back and just met Ji Yanli's distracted gaze. Can't you drive? Get lost if you can't drive. The car that stopped on the side in front was a dazzling green McLaren, and the owner cursed and turned around and left. A dense chill immediately crept up my spine. The car that caused the accident in which I died unexpectedly in my previous life was a McLaren of the same color. I had originally thought that Ji Yanli's sudden and abnormal behavior was due to the butterfly effect caused by my agreement to the arranged marriage with Song Yu in this life. But now, I have a bold guess. Mian Mian. Ji Yanli leaned over and hugged me tightly in his arms. I could feel his fear. I closed my eyes slightly and then spoke softly. Ji Yanli, you actually remember everything, don't you? I wasn't the only one who was reborn. He clearly paused for a moment, then he hugged me even tighter. His voice was hoarse. Almost every night, I'm awakened by nightmares. When I rushed there in the dream, you were still stuck in the driver's seat. They stopped me and wouldn't let me go to you, until the car exploded. They still didn't rescue you. I just watched helplessly. I felt a little wetness in the crook of my neck. They were Ji Yanli's tears. You were engulfed by the fire in front of me, leaving nothing behind. 8. I think, maybe I shouldn't have exposed the fact that he was reborn. Ji Yanli had already guessed that I was reborn a long time ago. I lifted the last layer of the half-hidden veil between us, and what awaited me would be an even more terrifying Ji Yanli. You've always been blaming me, haven't you? Ji Yanli pressed his hands on my shoulders, and the last bit of reason in his eyes was on the verge of collapse. He told me that in the past, he thought it was wrong for me to like him, that it was against morality. He got engaged to Ningxi in order to force me to back down. In fact, he had already fallen in love with me. I sighed. Whether you feel guilty or you've really fallen in love with me, it doesn't matter anymore. Ji Yanli. I met his gaze, and without being petty, I said word by word, the point is, I really don't like you anymore. When I see you, I don't feel the slightest bit of excitement. When you confess to me and say you want to marry me, it just makes me more disgusted, really. The next second, a sharp pain came from my shoulder. It was Ji Yanli exerting force. Then tell me what to do. Tong me on. I got a chance to start over. How can I let go? He wouldn't listen to anything. I was so irritable and depressed that I couldn't catch my breath. The matter of trying on wedding dresses was forced to be terminated. Ji Yanli took me back to the villa in silence all the way. He went straight to the wine cabinet and took sip after sip. After drinking about 4 or 5 glasses, he finally calmed down a bit. I knew that Ji Yanli, who was emotionally unstable at the moment, was the most untouchable, but Song Yu ran into this situation. Boss, a person was caught outside the villa. He seems to have been trying to climb over the wall to get in. Bring him in. Song Yu was pushed in by the bodyguards. My breath involuntarily quickened, and I shuddered. Ji Yanli had no expression on his face, but there was a violent aura in his eyes, as if a storm was about to come. Little uncle, please don't hurt him. Before I could finish speaking, I was silenced by the wine bottle that was smashed in front of Song Yu. What did you promise me? I quickly shook my head. I didn't call him. I really didn't contact him. Song Yu stood in front of me with a solemn face. It has nothing to do with Mian Mian. I came here on my own to take her away. Is that so? The corner of Ji Yanli's mouth curved into an arc, showing a hint of insolence. Who do you think you are to want to take her away? She doesn't want to stay here. She's not happy staying by your side, even if I'm nothing. I will do my best to take her away. Ji Yanli leaned against the wine cabinet obliquely and clapped his hands symbolically. How great. After making the comment, he looked at me teasingly. Are you touched? I blinked my eyes and tried hard to swallow back the choking feeling. No, don't listen to him. I don't want to leave here. I was almost begging. Let him go. Okay, I don't want to see you hit someone. I'm scared. Ji Yanli walked over slowly and sat me on the sofa with his arm around me. Don't be afraid. I won't do it myself. I didn't relax easily. Ji Yanli, let her go. Song Yu was pressed on the shoulders by the bodyguards and growled. Ji Yanli raised his eyebrows, leaned close to my ear suggestively, and asked in a low voice, do you like him? No. I don't like him. I immediately denied it. I wasn't deliberately lying to appease Ji Yanli. I really only regarded Song Yu as my brother. I agreed to the arranged marriage just to repay grandma for her kindness in adopting me. Ji Yanli stared into my eyes scrutinizingly. After a while, he seemed to believe me and nodded. Then do you like me? I only hesitated for a second, and Ji Yanli's face turned cold. Yes. I answered while crying. I like you. Ji Yanli gently wiped my tears. Why are you crying? He pinched my chin and lifted it up. If you like me, you won't try to avoid me, right? The wine droplets splashed on the man's collar evaporated in the air. I couldn't help but grab the cuff of his sleeve, not daring to use much force, a few centimeters before touching. Beast, are you trying to force her to death? Song Yu couldn't bear it anymore. Come at me directly. Why are you threatening her? Ji Yanli stopped and let me go. He pretended to be in a difficult situation and gave a soft sneer. Tong Mian, look, it's not that I'm not keeping my promise, it's your brother Song Yu who keeps courting death again and again. Ji Yanli walked over, grabbed the back of Song Yu's neck, and forced him to lower his head. How much ability do you have to show off? As he spoke, he pressed Song Yu's neck down. His face was getting closer and closer to the broken pieces of the wine bottle on the floor. Ji Yanli. If you don't kill me today, I will come again to save Mian Mian. I held the phone and shouted out in a breakdown. Ji Yanli, don't touch him anymore. You're violently beating others in a group. If you take another action, I'll call the police. Not pretending anymore. Ji Yanli still had that calm and confident attitude. He raised his chin. Go ahead and call. What do you mean by violent group beating? He broke into a private residence. I'm just defending myself. Ji Yanli squatted in front of Song Yu and casually picked up a piece of glass shard. You can try and see who the people's police will take away when they come. My face gradually turned pale, and I let my hand drop feebly. The phone fell to the ground accordingly. Ji Yanli played with the piece of glass shard in his hand. I nervously followed his hand with my gaze, afraid that he would stab Song Yu with it. He smiled meaninglessly. As for you, don't keep talking about killing people. Do you understand the law? Here's what we'll do. He looked at the glass shard and then at Song Yu. If you swallow it, I won't pursue this matter today. How about it? Or I'll have someone force your mouth open and stuff all these pieces in, and then send you to the hospital for gastric lavage. Sweat dripped from the black hair on Song Yu's forehead and landed on the ground. After a period of resistance, he had no strength left. I forced myself to hold back the weakness in my legs and walked over to Ji Yanli. I barely managed a smile and hugged his waist. Stop making trouble, okay? I'll be obedient and listen to you from now on. Weren't you going to take me to choose a dress? Let's go. You can help me choose, and I'll help you choose. Okay. Behind me came Song Yu's horse crying, Mian Mian, don't bow down to him. I seemed not to hear him and just buried my head in the crook of Ji Yanli's neck. He's so noisy. Throw him out. Ji Yanli was like caressing a docile pet, casually stroking the back of my head. Why are you being so obedient all of a sudden? Weren't you still threatening to call the police? I was wrong. I overestimated my abilities. Ji Yanli's hand moved down and rubbed my ear. Mian Mian, since we're going to act, we might as well do it thoroughly, he said in a voice that only the two of us could hear. Then he turned my body around to face Song Yu. Tell him, are you willing to marry me voluntarily? I knew that my bitter smile must look very ugly at this moment, but Ji Yanli behind me was like a gun pointed at my head. Song Yu, I really want to marry Ji Yanli. Please don't bother us anymore. It really bothers me. Song Yu opened his mouth with difficulty but couldn't say a word. The sadness in his eyes was about to overflow. I'm sorry. He was apologizing for not being able to take me away and forcing me to agree to marry Ji Yanli. Song Yu was sent away, and it was as if all my strength had been drained from me. I knelt and sat on the carpet, motionless. I didn't lay a finger on that idiot. What are you still dissatisfied with? Ji Yanli stood in front of me, looking down at me. I replied feebly, nothing, I'm very satisfied. He bent down and picked me up, carrying me towards my room. He's just a useless coward. That car accident wasn't an accident, it was man-made. I looked up. Ningxi ordered someone to do it, he added in a cold voice. When he found out, he didn't do anything. He just kept crying in front of your tombstone. I stared at him in a daze, and my intuition led me to ask, what about you? Ji Yanli stopped in his tracks. And his black eyes looking at me were bottomless. I killed her. I instantly lost all ability to think. Ji Yanli's eyes were dark and gloomy. She planned everything, just to make me watch you die in front of me on the spot. Should such a bitch die, in this life? Ji Yanli's extraordinary hatred for Ningxi could now be explained. I suddenly remembered the last words Ji Yanli said to Ningxi at that time, so I paused for a moment before asking softly, what's happening to Ningxi now? Ji Yanli's tone was light, as if he was talking about something insignificant. She's in a mental hospital. A cold sweat broke out in my palms. Ningxi killed me, and Ji Yanli avenged me by killing Ningxi. Even in this life, he had the foresight to lock her up in a mental hospital to prevent her from hurting me. But my first reaction wasn't gratitude. What welled up in me was fear. Fear of the madness and paranoia of the man in front of me. Ji Yanli placed me on the bed and then pressed down on me. I turned my head away in rejection and put my hand on his shoulder. No, why? He didn't move, and his voice was so soft that it was almost a whisper. Ji Yanli, you and I both know the reason. Don't force me to hate you even more. Ji Yanli's hand slid down to my waist. Tong me on. What do you hate about me? Is it just because of Song Yu? He straightened up and began to unbutton his clothes from top to bottom. His voice was unhurried. When someone hurt you, I took revenge for you. Since the first time I saw you after returning to the country, I've avenged all the bullying you've suffered. Now you're telling me that you hate me because of a useless childhood sweetheart. I can die for you, can he? At that time, I just thought he was saying it casually in an extreme mood, but you've been forcing me, even house arrest me. Ji Yanli stopped just as he was unbuttoning one of his buttons. The lamp above his head was just blocked by him. The dim yellow light haloed around him, making it hard for me to see his expression clearly. The next moment, Ji Yanli suddenly got up. All the things on the bedside table were swept to the ground by him with a crash. I shrank back in fright. His gaze slowly moved from the mess on the ground to me. He asked emotionlessly, then what should I do? The first time I saw you in this life, you were about to marry Song Yu. Did you ever give me a chance? So what's the meaning of my living this life again? Is it to watch you fall in love with someone else and marry someone else? You all will have a fulfilling life, while I'm still trapped in the past, trapped in the nightmare of that car accident. Is that fair to me? Ji Yanli suddenly lost control. He picked up the fallen table lamp and smashed it against the empty wall beside me. Speak. Facing him like this, I couldn't provoke him any further. Tears slowly welled up in my eyes as I looked at Ji Yanli. I sobbed softly. Are you going to hit me? Ji Yanli stared at me intently. After a few seconds, he closed his eyes. He sat down by the bedside and gently hugged me into his arms. No, I will never hurt you. Did I scare you? He raised one hand and gently rubbed my head. I'm sorry, Mian, but I wasn't soothed. I still cried intermittently. Ji Yanli also kept coaxing me softly, until I was tired from crying and fell asleep. In a half-awake and half-asleep state, a gentle kiss landed on my forehead. I fluttered my eyelashes and fell into a deep sleep. 10. The plan to choose a dress the next day was delayed again, because I had a fever. The high fever wouldn't go down. After the family doctor came and gave me an 4 drip, he just told Ji Yanli, Mr. G, it's not necessarily that this girl caught a chill. She might also have been frightened. Ji Yanli watched me fall asleep last night. He had to believe that I got sick because he scared me. In fact, I got up in the middle of the night, turned the shower to the lowest temperature, and shivered under the cold water for 15 minutes. Why are you so delicate? Ji Yanli sat down beside me and rubbed the side of my face with the back of his hand. I just took advantage of the fever-induced drowsiness to avoid all communication with him, to stay by my side. Ji Yanli moved his office to his study at home, but every night I would throw away the medicine prescribed by the doctor. If my body temperature went down, I would take a cold shower again. As a result, I kept having a recurring high fever, and my body was getting weaker and weaker. She's had a fever, and she still hasn't recovered. Ji Yanli looked at the doctor with a half-smile, maintaining the last bit of politeness. The doctor sighed. He said neither humbly nor arrogantly, Mr. G. Long-term psychological problems can lead to a decrease in immunity, and it's not uncommon for the illness to relapse. This girl is getting weaker day by day. If the root cause of the illness can't be treated, she might get seriously ill, or even, the rest of the words were self-explanatory. It was a long time after the doctor left that I heard the approaching footsteps. Ji Yanli lowered his eyes and suppressed all his emotions. "Do you hate me that much?" I coughed twice but didn't respond. Ji Yanli silently helped me up to drink some water, then helped me lie down again and tucked in the corner of the quilt. He didn't say anything and left. I knew that he was already starting to waver. I might be even more despicable than Ji Yanli. I knew that Ji Yanli liked me and bet on his reluctance to let me go. I hurt myself to force him to let me leave. In this life, every time Ji Yanli forced me and made me emotionally break down, I never thought of fighting him to the death. Being reborn was a second chance for me to make up for my regrets and choose my life again. It wasn't worth it to fight someone to the death. 11. When I thought I was almost going to die of illness and was about to take the medicine because I couldn't hold on anymore, Ji Yanli finally gave in. "Intentionally torturing yourself." The man standing by the bedside had silent eyes like a still body of water. I weakly curved my lips and my voice was dry. "Let me go, or watch me die in front of you again." When I said again, Ji Yanli frowned. I was deliberately poking at his sore spot. After saying that, I couldn't help coughing. My lungs felt as if they were being gently burned by fire, itchy and painful. Ji Yanli didn't hesitate to come over, pat my back gently, and hand me a glass of water. I didn't take it immediately. When the coughing finally stopped, I had a premonition of something. "Why don't you drink it?" I paused and opened my hand that had just been covering my mouth. Several spots of blood were prominently lying in my palm. The next second, I heard the sound of a glass breaking. Ji Yanli's hand stopped in the air, and the cup fell from his weakened grip. He stared fixedly at my palm, his eyes bloodshot. "Do you have to force yourself to death?" A faint itch welled up in my throat again, and I coughed twice. Ji Yanli took a deep breath, as if suppressing something. He took out his phone and called the driver, giving a calm order, "Drive to the door. Go to the hospital." He took a coat and draped it over me, then took a piece of paper, but he never looked me in the eye from beginning to end. "When you recover from your illness, I'll let you go." Ji Yanli opened my palm and wiped the blood on it. His voice was very soft, giving the impression of not caring much. "And I will definitely not pester you anymore, if you didn't listen carefully." You couldn't hear the tremor in his enunciation. I knew that I couldn't give him any more chances at this time, so I said something that made him even more sad. "Thank you, little uncle. I'll be much happier without you. I also hope that you can find a girlfriend in the future. I'll be happy for you." His hand holding the paper trembled for a moment. Then he wordlessly picked me up, carried me to the car, and took me to the hospital. After getting 2 days of intravenous drips in the hospital, I was taken back to Ji Yanli's villa to recuperate, but he rarely appeared in front of me anymore. He left early and came back late every day. The night before I left, there was a knock on the door of my room. "Who is it?" "It's me." When I heard Ji Yanli's voice, I couldn't help but become alert. "What's the matter?" "I'm already asleep." The person outside the door paused for a moment before asking in a low voice, "The weather forecast says it will be cold and rainy tomorrow. You've just recovered a bit. Why don't you leave the day after tomorrow?" I blurted out a refusal. "No need, Brother Songyu will pick me up on his way." After about another minute, I almost thought Ji Yanli had already left when I heard his voice again. "Okay." 12. The next day, it was just getting light, and the rain was still falling patter. There was no sign of Ji Yanli in the living room. I raised my hand and was about to push the door open. Tong Mian. If I didn't completely get rid of Ji Yanli, I would always be worried that he would go back on his word. I frowned and turned around, meeting my wary gaze. He seemed to be stung and lowered his eyes. He was holding a white scarf in his hand. He opened it and put it around my neck. I instinctively took a step back, and his movement also paused for a moment. "The scarf can keep you warm. Don't let your illness relapse." "Thank you," I replied, and my gaze fell on Songyu outside the window. I thought that my eagerness to leave was written all over my face. Ji Yanli smiled self-deprecatingly and said slowly, "Maybe I really have some psychological problems, which is why I tried every abnormal means to keep you." "Sorry." Only then did I look at him directly. The man in front of me had a hint of tiredness between his eyebrows and eyes. After a long time, I just nodded. Then I opened the door and left. I didn't look back even once. In the following years, as Ji Yanli promised me, he never appeared in front of me again. It wasn't difficult to fall in love with Songyu. He always put me first in everything. He wasn't overbearing or violent, he would always listen to my thoughts gently, but he definitely wasn't lacking in a sense of responsibility either. I agreed to Song Yu's proposal in the late autumn of the third year. This time, there was no business arranged marriage, it was just driven by pure love. On the day of the wedding, I didn't send an invitation to Ji Yanli. Only Grandma called him, but on the day of the wedding, he still didn't show up. Later, I heard from Song Yu that Ji Yanli actually gave the project to Song Yu among Song Yu's company and another competing company. One day, on a whim, I went downstairs to the company to wait for Song Yu to get off work. A car quickly passed by in the nearby parking lot. I hadn't thought of Ji Yanli for a long time, but at that moment, I suddenly remembered, Ji Yanli used to have a car of the same series. Mian Mian, Song Yu's voice interrupted my trance. I raised my lips and walked towards him. I'm here to pick you up from work. Song Yu raised his eyebrows slightly. Then who will drive? I squinted my eyes and smiled, feeling justified. You drive. He chuckled and put his arm around me and left. The project encountered problems at a crucial point, and at the same time, I was also found to be pregnant. Song Yu hesitated to speak. It took him a long time to speak with difficulty. One of the factories in the south was hit by a mountain flood. Not only were all the most crucial components destroyed, but it was also said that some workers were killed. Ji Yanli and I have to go there. I comforted him. It doesn't matter. Mountain floods are frequent at this time of the year. You have to pay attention to your safety, you know. I didn't expect that my words would come true. Half a month later, only Song Yu came back alone. He knelt in front of Grandma, his face mixed with blood and tears. Ji Yanli saved me. I'm sorry for you. I suddenly raised my head, as if I couldn't understand what he was saying. Song Yu said that on the way down the mountain with Ji Yanli, a flood suddenly broke out. They didn't have any experience and couldn't escape. There was only a stone half embedded and half exposed nearby as a high place. It was Ji Yanli who found it. Yanli, what do you think about Mian Mian's marriage with the Song family? When Song Yu turned his head, a torrent suddenly gushed out, and he couldn't see Ji Yanli's figure anymore. He was prepared to die, but he didn't even have time to say a final word. When I stood in front of his tombstone and looked into his black and white photo, I felt as if I had traveled through time. I hadn't seen Ji Yanli for many years, because I didn't care. His features had unconsciously faded from my memory, until now, his outline became clear again. I suddenly remembered what he had said for no apparent reason. I can die for you, can he? So, did you save Song Yu for my sake? But no one would answer me anymore. On that day, before I left the cemetery, I met Ji Yanli's assistant, Miss Tong. Mr. Ji had already made a will, except for the fixed share for the old lady. All the property under his name belongs to you. After saying that, he seemed to remember something and continued to add, Mr. Ji said it was in the name of your little uncle, so you don't have to think too much about it. Another half-month passed. The local police in the south called Grandma. I was afraid that Grandma would be stimulated, so I answered the phone for her. The result was that Ji Yanli's body wasn't found. There was only a cloth amulet with some characters embroidered on it. It wasn't certain if it belonged to Ji Yanli. I asked, what are the characters? The other side said, May Mian Mian be safe and sound. Story 2. I am an orphan girl fostered in the Jiang family. The elders of the Jiang family asked Jiangdu to marry me. I happily married Jiangdu. He didn't refuse either. However, after the marriage, he was indifferent to me. Later, he simply used the excuse of doing business to live apart from me in different places for a long time. My mother-in-law disliked that I hadn't given birth to a child for the Jiang family. She showed me a cold face everywhere. I spent my entire life waiting for Jiangdu and serving my mother-in-law. Exhausted both physically and mentally, I lay on the hospital bed. As my husband, Jiangdu didn't come to see me for the last time. Instead, Sun Siyu kindly told me that Jiangdu was preparing for his wedding with her and didn't have time to see me. Adu said that he will hold the wedding with me right after you die. Feng Wen, you have been the wife of the Jiang family for more than 30 years. My child and I have no status. You should be content. Only then did I know that Jiangdu actually had another family outside. He had a lover and a child. I was the only one who was all alone. When I opened my eyes again, I went back to the time when I was in the Jiang family. Jiangdu's mother was still joking. Wen, do you like our Jiangdu? I don't like him anymore. In this life, I want to do the things I truly like. 1. It seemed that I could still smell the smell of the disinfectant in the hospital at the tip of my nose. The torture of the illness was still there. In front of me was Jiangdu's mother. that is, my mother-in-law in my previous life, who was still asking, Wenwen, do you like our Jeondu? What do you think of marrying a Do after graduation? In the living room were the friends of the Jeon family and my parents when they were alive. The woman was so kind and gentle, full of love. She was completely different from the difficult and fierce person in my memory of my previous life. Because Jeondu and I spent very little time together, I had no chance to get pregnant at all. She found all sorts of ways to torture me. I had to drink the extremely bitter medicine for getting pregnant every day without fail. She invited the goddess of mercy for bestowing sons and ordered me to kneel in front of it every day and chant scriptures and pray. This was not the worst. The daily sarcastic remarks were what really made me feel suffocated, not to mention that my mother-in-law asked me to serve her tea and water personally and give her massages. Whenever I showed any intention of resistance, she would wail and cry about the hardships of raising me. An orphan girl, she said that she treated me like her own daughter. She said that when I had nightmares as a child, it was she who hugged and comforted me. She said that when I was sick as a child, it was she who took care of me without taking off her clothes. This was my weakness, so I didn't resist. Wenwen, don't be shy, say something. My mother-in-law pushed me. Coming back to my senses, I met the woman's eyes that were full of eagerness. If I in my previous life could have observed more carefully, I would have found that this eagerness to match me in Jeondu was actually eagerness to divide up my property. At that time, I was just a young lady who had been pampered since childhood. I had just experienced the great blow of losing both my parents, and I thought I had found a family and comfort in the Jeon family. How could I have thought so much? But now, I have experienced more than 30 years of a marriage in name only. I have experienced the torture when my mother-in-law tore off her disguise. I can see everything clearly now. So I stood up and smiled. Auntie, you seem to have misunderstood. I only regard Jeondu as my elder brother, and after graduating from high school, I still want to go to university, too. My mother-in-law's face suddenly turned pale. Asking me today in front of everyone whether I liked Jeondu was originally to confirm my marriage with Jeondu. In this way, it would not be criticized for coaxing me to spend the property in my name. My mother-in-law quickly reacted. She naturally stood up and hugged me, and said to everyone, this girl is just shy. Adieu, take Wenwen for a walk in the garden. Jeondu was sitting on the sofa opposite. The young Jeondu, young, handsome, and a bit aloof, since Jeondu's father was a friend of my parents. Jeondu and I could barely be considered childhood sweethearts, since I was a child. I liked to stick around him and ask him to play with me. When we were young, our relationship was quite good. Later, as we grew up, Jeondu became a bit distant from me. In my previous life, I didn't understand. I just thought that as we grew older, we should pay attention to the issue between men and women, but I didn't want to think that in fact, Jeondu was tired of me. I was a bit of a proud young lady and had a bad temper, yet he had to obey his parents' orders and do everything I asked. He didn't like me, but he couldn't get rid of me. Naturally, Jeondu was annoyed. If he just ignored me, that would be fine, but he married me instead. After marrying me, he allowed his mother to torture me. After marrying me, he was affectionate with Sinclair outside. I hated him. I hated myself even more. I was blinded by my feelings and lived such a miserable life. I clenched my fists and then slowly released them. I gently broke free from my mother-in-law's hug. I still had a smile on my face. It's okay, brother. You're going to meet classmates and see you later, right? If you like someone, you should bring them home early, one of the guests said. So Jeondu already has someone he likes. Then your mother is just matchmaking randomly. Only then did I look at Jeondu directly. His face was even worse than my mother-in-law's. The corners of his eyes were slightly red. I didn't bother to look anymore. I greeted everyone present and left on my own. 3. After leaving the living room, I went straight to the mailbox in the front yard to search. Among the letters one by one, I finally saw the one with me as the recipient. Fengwen. Jeondu's voice came from behind. I quickly turned around and hid the letter behind my back. What kind of temper are you throwing today? I frowned. What's wrong? You confessed to me yesterday, and today you say you regard me as your brother. Can you change your habit of doing things on a whim? My mother treats you like her daughter. And you embarrassed my mother in public. I looked at him silently. I remembered my previous life. After the marriage, my mother-in-law also embarrassed me in front of others. I just complained to Jeondu about it once, and it caused his resentment. He said, "Isn't my mother good enough to you? You can't stand it when she says a few words." So now I also returned these words to him. Auntie treats me like her daughter. Can't a daughter say a few sincere words without being able to stand it? He was speechless. He let out a sigh. You're acting very strange. In his opinion, I was naturally acting strange. After all, after my parents passed away in my previous life, I truly regarded the Jiang family as my home. I changed my previous arrogant temperament, not to mention speaking back to my mother-in-law a few times, even to Jiangdu. I carefully tried to please him. I sneered. So, what are you angry about? Didn't you hate it when I chased after you? Now I say I don't like you. Just as you wish. I wanted to leave after saying that. I still had to open the letter in my hand, but Jiangdu said, I don't have that intention, that doesn't matter, those things don't matter, Jiangdu, whether you love me or not is meaningless. Upon hearing this, Jiangdu frowned. You don't like it when I say something nice either, Fangwen, you're still so difficult to get along with. After my parents passed away, I had no one to rely on, so. Jiangdu's attitude towards me also changed a lot. He didn't dare to speak loudly to me before, but now he said in my face that I was difficult to get along with. Am I difficult to get along with? I just didn't act according to his wishes. The so-called saying nice words from him was just to stabilize me first. It would be best to coax me into getting engaged to him. In my previous life, right after the engagement, he used the excuse that the company's business expansion needed funds. He asked me to take out most of my assets to pave the way for him. At that time, private businesses were being liberalized. There were opportunities to get rich everywhere. With my help, Jiangdu took over the real estate and non-staple food businesses in the entire Weiqing and became the richest man in the local area. During the more than 30 years of my loveless marriage, everyone envied me for being the wife of the richest man. But they didn't know that without me, Fangwen, Jiangdu, wouldn't have had the chance to reach such a height at all. In this life, let me stand at a high place. I'll just look down on the clowns in the Jiang family, watching them jump around and have their wild revelry until they bring about their own destruction. Too lazy to say more. I smiled. I'm just difficult to get along with. So what? If you don't like it, hold it in. 5. When I returned to my room, I couldn't wait to open the letter. In fact, I still have an uncle. He and my mother are half-siblings and now live in the United States. I met this uncle once. At that time, he came to our house to ask for help because he wanted to treat his old mother's illness. My parents gave him a lot of financial support and also introduced a good hospital to him. Later, our two families visited each other from time to time. We lost contact in recent years. In my previous life, I didn't know that in fact. My uncle went abroad to seek his fortune and accidentally became prosperous. It was already a year after he learned the news of my parents' car accident and death. He found out that I was adopted by the Jiang family, so he wrote to contact me. The letter was sent to our original home and then was transferred to the mailbox of the Jiang family. My mother-in-law always knew that there was a letter for me, but she chose to hide the letter and didn't say anything. It was only many years later that I knew that my uncle had been sending me money and letters all the time, but by then, it was already too late. After reading the letter, I learned that my uncle couldn't return to China for some reasons, so he chose to contact me by letter. The letter said that this was his 10th letter, and the content was no different from the previous ones. It was just to introduce his situation abroad and then comfort me. He asked me if I was willing to go to the United States. At that time, the United States was very advanced. It had top-notch education and majors at that time. There were $10 with a large amount in the letter. And there was also a plane ticket to the United States. My nose felt sour. It's so good. I'm not an orphan girl. I still have family. The boarding place is in the neighboring city of Shanghai. And the date is 4 days later. I pulled myself together. Next, I need to deal with the inheritance left by my parents. I won't touch the real estate. These locations are good, and there is hope for appreciation in the future. I will deposit the money separately. I'll take half of it abroad and leave half in the bank. Also, I don't know my uncle very well, so I need to make sure it's safe before I can get in touch with my uncle's family. 6. Fortunately, the college entrance examination was already over. I used the excuse of going to play with my classmates to go out. It's also convenient to deal with things. I happened to meet my classmates at the bank. They were delighted and said, "We were just going to look for you. Come on, let's go to the class reunion." The location of the reunion was chosen in the largest KTV in the city. At that time, singing karaoke was still a very fashionable thing. When I went there, Jiangdu was also there. Someone joked, "What's the matter, Fangwen isn't following you today, yeah, where's your little wife? Jiangdu played with the lighter. I'm so annoyed, I'm glad she's not here and I can have some peace. Also, I don't like Fangwen. The laughter of the crowd rose and fell. Then who do you like? The class beauty in our class. People were making a ruckus and pushing Sinsiyu towards Jiangdu. The female companion beside me felt a bit embarrassed and coughed twice. The colored lights were flashing, and then everyone noticed me. I walked up to everyone generously. It's so lively, you can continue. Jiangdu instinctively protected Sinsiyu. Fangwen, what kind of trick are you going to play this time? A trick? I wished I could just stab these two people to death directly, but now nothing has happened yet. If I said that I was terribly harmed by these two people in my previous life, who would believe me? I laughed. Jiangdu, why didn't you say you hated me earlier? You're such a coward. I simply clapped my hands. Well, if you don't welcome me, then I'll leave. Everyone didn't react. I had already pushed the door and gone out. Jiangdu followed closely behind. Fangwen, listen to me. Ah, Sinsiyu fainted. There was an exclamation from my classmates behind. Jiangdu quickly left me behind. Fangwen, what I said just now was just out of anger. I'll explain it to you later. Before he could finish speaking, he couldn't wait to rush to Sinsiyu's side. I watched coldly and then turned around and left firmly. There won't be another chance to explain. In 3 days, I will go to the United States. From now on, I will no longer think of you, and you don't think of me either. 7. The next day, I tidied up my room. I threw away what should be thrown away. My mother-in-law came over and indirectly asked me which university I was applying for. Of course, I wouldn't tell her that I was going to study abroad. I casually mentioned the name of Shanghai University to muddle through. While praising that Shanghai University was good, my mother-in-law rolled her eyes and brought up Jiangdu's marriage with me again. You can get engaged first. It won't delay you and Adu from going to university. Before I could say the words of refusal, my mother-in-law changed the subject and comforted me. I've already asked Adu. He and that Sinsiyu are just ordinary classmates. You just like to think too much. She still wouldn't give up. I distanced myself from my mother-in-law. Auntie, I really have no intention of Jiangdu. My mother-in-law still didn't believe me and quickly promised, good child, I will definitely make sure that Adu breaks up with that female classmate completely. These words happened to be heard by Jiangdu. He didn't figure out the situation and walked up to me in a few steps. The look in his eyes when he looked at me was full of disappointment and disgust. Missy, do you have to make everyone revolve around you? Sinsiyu is in poor health and her family condition is not good. I took a little more care of her. You just have to make it known all over the world and even tell my mother about it. As if venting his anger, he tugged at the crystal necklace in his hand. The crystal beads fell one after another. They rolled around and disappeared in all directions. I originally wanted to give this to you as an apology, but now it seems there's no need. I'll just tell you clearly, there's nothing between me and Sinsiyu. I won't distance myself from her because of you either. After venting his anger on me, Jiangdu kicked open the trash bin at the door that I used to throw away waste. The trash bin fell to the ground as he kicked it, and all sorts of things inside, such as dolls and small ornaments, rolled out one by one. Jiangdu's eyes suddenly turned red. These were all given to you by me. Yeah, I don't like them anymore. So I threw them away. As I said that, I kicked away the crystal beads that rolled to my feet. They were such annoying things. I will board the plane to the United States in 2 days. The distance from Weiqing to Shanghai is not short. I have to go to Shanghai in advance. My passport was already done when I went abroad for a trip before. I don't have many things either. The valuable jewelry, property certificates, etc., are all stored in the bank safe. Coincidentally, Jiangdu's parents went to other cities to do business, so I won't say goodbye to them in person. They did take care of me for many years, but it was just for those inheritances. My uncle sent some money, but my mother-in-law of the Jiang family secretly kept it for herself. It was enough for my food, drinks, and daily expenses over the years. When I went out carrying a small suitcase, I met Jiangdu and Sinsiyu in the living room downstairs. The two of them seemed to have just come back from outside. The small suitcase in my hand caught Jiangdu's attention. He asked, "Where are you going? Are you going to complain to my mother again?" "I'm not interested in that." I motioned for the two of them not to block my way. "I'm going to play at a classmate's house. Auntie and the others know about it." I wasn't lying. I had indeed told my mother-in-law of the Jiang family that I would stay and play at a classmate's house for 2 days. Jiangdu was still in a bad mood and said indifferently, "Come back by yourself then. I won't come to pick you up. it didn't matter to me. Sinclair, who had been ignored, suddenly came over and said in a pitiful tone, "Classmate Feng Wen, I was just kicked out of my home and have nowhere to go. Jiangdu was kind enough to take me in. I heard from Aunt Jiang that you had an unpleasant experience with Jiangdu because of me. I'm so sorry." "You don't need to say sorry to her." Jiangdu held Sinclair's wrist. "If she hadn't been so talkative, my mother wouldn't have bothered you. They really were a loving couple. I thought it was very boring and just walked forward on my own." Behind me, Sinclair's weak and pitiful voice continued, "Jiangdu, don't you want to go and coax classmate Feng? Don't mind her, she has nowhere else to go. Sooner or later, she'll come back." Jiangdu said it with certainty. There was a hint of coldness and disdain in his tone. I paused for a moment, and then quickly continued walking forward. It turned out that their family thought I had nowhere else to go, so they bullied me like that. It didn't matter. If we meet again, I'll also make you taste what it's like to have nowhere to go. 9. On the first day Feng Wen left, Jiangdu didn't feel anything unusual. On the second day, he asked the servant at home irritably, "Has the young lady still not come back?" The servant shook his head. The young man's handsome eyebrows furrowed deeply. "She really has the temper of a young lady. If she likes staying outside, then she can just never come back." After saying these harsh words viciously, he asked the servant again, "Did the young lady say which classmate's house she was going to?" The servant still shook his head. Jiangdu felt even more annoyed. It was as if there was a stone pressing on his heart. It made him unable to breathe easily. When he passed by Feng Wen's room, something seemed to be flashing beside the broad-leaved potted plant by the door. He thought of something. He bent down and picked it up. It was a lonely crystal bead. Jiangdu was a bit stunned. Then he squatted down and, as if possessed, wanted to look for other beads. A trace of regret welled up in his heart. Why did he break the necklace? This was clearly a graduation gift he had wanted to give to Feng Wen. Shiny accessories were Feng Wen's favorite. He had always known that Feng Wen had a bad temper, but she had restrained herself a lot after her parents passed away. He also knew that, why did he have to make her unhappy? He thought that when Feng Wen came back, he would honestly apologize to her. However, he waited for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, but still didn't see Feng Wen come home. The unease in his heart reached its peak. He started calling Feng Wen's close classmates. The answers he got were all that they hadn't seen Feng Wen. He didn't believe it. He went to look for her from one place to another. Still, there was no trace of Feng Wen, until he opened the door of Feng Wen's bedroom. In the room that was originally decorated warmly, those dolls he had given were gone. Feng Wen's clothes and shoes were all gone too. The room became much emptier all of a sudden. Jiangdu searched the room eagerly, trying to find the traces that Feng Wen had once lived here, but all he found was a piece of letter paper pressed on the table by a book. "I've left, Uncle and Auntie, don't worry about me." There were only 9 words, and not even a single punctuation mark belonged to Jiangdu. 10. After the plane landed, I didn't immediately call according to the contact information my uncle had given me. Instead, I entrusted a detective to find out about my uncle's family situation. It didn't need to be very in-depth. Just a simple understanding of whether the family was harmonious, etc. I thought that no family that was already in chaos would be willing to accept a strange relative. Fortunately, the news I got was that my uncle had a rather large farm in a certain state. My uncle had a good reputation locally. The family members were simple, and they got along harmoniously. I also made the worst plan. If my uncle wasn't reliable, I could also study in the United States on my own. It wasn't a big deal. After finishing the investigation and buying gifts for everyone, I contacted my uncle. When he learned that I had already arrived, he came to pick me up immediately. 3 days later, I finally arrived at my uncle's farm. My uncle was more than 10 years older than my mother. Because of his early gold mining experience and exposure to the sun and wind, he looked even older. He wasn't good at expressing himself, especially when facing me. He just sighed, "You really look like your mother." Then he gave me a card and told me to spend as I liked. He took me to ride the horses on the farm and allowed me to bully the big dog he raised. The big dog? Who did I offend? My aunt was a slightly plump white woman. She could make delicious desserts. Let me say quietly that the desserts were delicious, but they were really cloying if you ate too much. But she was so enthusiastic. She made all kinds of pastries for me. My uncle's son was already married, and his wife was a Chinese American. Thanks to this elder brother and sister-in-law, I could still eat some Chinese food. My uncle's daughter was only 1 year older than me. When my elder sister saw my decent and proper dress, She shook her head exaggeratedly. God, don't let those ugly clothes insult your perfect figure. Okay. Then she took me to go on a crazy shopping spree in the city. With her around, I quickly integrated into the local young people. After the summer vacation, it was time to go to university. With my uncle's connections, I directly went to the university my elder sister attended. I chose the finance major. There was no other reason. My previous life experience combined with my current property and capital were enough for me to make a career. 11. The life in the United States was warmer than I had imagined. During the holidays, I played crazily on the farm and helped with some miscellaneous work. At school, I attended classes and did homework together with classmates from all over the world. In my sophomore year, after conducting sufficient research, I decided to start with some import and export trade business to gain experience. I had a talk with my uncle. He didn't deny my decision. Instead, he asked me if I had enough money and whether I wanted him to introduce some bosses to me. It would be better to have someone to guide me, as I would avoid many detours, but for a novice like me, it wasn't a big deal to take some detours. I was still young, with enough time and money, and I could afford to make mistakes. So, I, together with 3 other classmates in my class, invested capital to start a small company. We exported